Do you need a mortgage for your UK buy-to-let property but you live abroad? Perfect, that's the correct video for you. All you need to know about expat and overseas mortgages for UK property. Stay tuned. If I can change my life, so can you. Subscribe to my channel and I show you how. My name is Fabrizio Cravero and this channel is all about property investment for the UK and overseas investors. If you are new to the channel, please subscribe. We are going to create a community of investors that grows together. UK property investment is great to store and to increase your wealth. And of course, mortgages are fundamental for every property investor. But if you are in a similar situation as mine, Italian, living in Hong Kong, self-employed, and investing in the UK as a portfolio landlord, then things can get a bit complicated. Don't let those obstacles stop you from investing in the UK. I'm telling you, it is absolutely doable for me and for all the other expat and overseas investors that I help get started in property. What you need to do is to put yourself in the lender's shoe. Think of it. What if a stranger living in another country wants to borrow money from you? Will you give him the money straight away and trust him that he will pay you back and he won't run away from you? Easy answer, isn't it? So, this is the example that my mortgage broker used with me when I started my first application for a mortgage on my buy-to-let in the UK. That said, I'm going to give you the list of the requirements that the lenders will check before lending you the funds, the time frame you can expect, and 3 tips to make the whole process much smoother. And stay until the end of the video because I prepared not one, but 2 very special gifts for you to help you on your investment journey. So let's start with the lender's requirement. First, they need to prove who you are. If you live in the UK, it's easier to retrieve the data. But if you live in Hong Kong, Dubai, Singapore, Australia, then things get a bit more complicated. In that case, the lenders will require you ID and your address proof to be certified by a local solicitor. And sometimes they may need the firm to have an office in the UK as well. Or they may ask you to certify your documents in the local UK embassy. Second, they will run the affordability check on you and on the property you are planning to invest in. Talking about you, the investor based overseas, if you work for a big multinational or global company, then things are a bit easier. The banks can check and track your salary. But even if you are self-employed, like me for example, don't worry, there are mortgage products for you as well. You just need to provide more documents to show your income. And don't forget that to have a good income is not enough. The lenders will also review how much you spend on bills and other regular payments. Then, when considering the affordability, also the property will be checked, and different lenders have different requirements, but there will be a test that the rent needs to pass. That's called the ICR, the interest cover ratio. Practically, the lenders are going to stress test the rent capability to pay for the mortgage rate. They usually use 125, sometimes 145%, meaning that the rent needs to cover the mortgage rate payment by 125 or 145%. And they usually use a 5% interest or above, regardless of the actual rate you pay. Another requirement the banks usually need is the credit report. If you have a credit history in the UK, it is a bit easier again. Otherwise, there are agencies specialized in credit reference, like Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. Having a good credit history is fundamental to letting the lenders know that you are going to repay for the mortgage. So, recalling the example of the stranger that wants to borrow money, now you understand that the banks get to know you much more once you meet all those requirements. They know who you are, where do you live, how much you earn, what your spending habits are, and everything about the property you are using as a collateral. As you can imagine, the time frame to go through all those checks can be quite long usually. We are definitely talking about months, and depends very much on your broker and your speed on providing the documents. By experience, I can tell you that you can expect the whole process to take anywhere between 3 to 6 months. I will never forget when I started my first application. It was so frustrating. I wasn't ready for all those requests, and I was disappointed all the time I received an email with extra requests from the broker. And that's why I'm sharing with you all those details. In that way, you can prepare well all the documents ahead of time and you can get your mortgage a bit quicker. But make sure that you don't have too high expectations. It takes a long time. And now is tip time. 3 quick tips to get a mortgage in the UK as an expat or overseas investor. Tip number 1, use a mortgage broker, but not just anyone. You will need a broker specialized in dealing with expat and overseas investors. Most probably you won't be approaching HSBC, Barclays or other high street banks. There are other smaller banks specialized in buy-to-let mortgages for expat and overseas investors with much better products. Ideally, the broker will have access to several different lenders, ideally the whole of the market. In such a way, you will simply contact the broker and the broker will go out and find the perfect product for you and your own particular situation. So, tip number 1, use a mortgage broker. And if you need a mortgage broker or a property agent, a team of builders or a letting agent anywhere in the UK, I'm so excited to share with you that I'm about to launch my property portal, where you will get to safely invest in UK property from anywhere in the world. I'm gonna give you the free access to the sneak peek. This is something I've been working on for a long time and I already actually had a lot of interest. So go in the description below and get access for free to the sneak peek of the property investment secrets. And now let's move on to the tip number 2. Be organized. I told you to be ready to answer 1 million requests. So make sure you organize all your bank statements in folders, your credit card statement, your company details, and bank statement if you are self-employed. Make sure your credit report looks good, and if you move a large sum of money just before getting a mortgage, make sure you can explain clearly the reason of that transaction and be ready to prove where the funds for the property come from. Because with the recent anti-money laundering regulations, the checks run by the banks are very strict now. And the last tip I can give you is actually a double one. Reply quickly to the request and be patient. Expect the process to be long. So to speed it up, at least on your side, make sure you answer all the questions and you provide the documents quickly. I usually have everything ready and I always answer within the same day. And then just be patient. It takes time, but it is well worth the effort. Once you get the mortgage, you get to leverage your money and make them work harder for you. Don't forget, don't over-leverage your investment and always go through detailed due diligence on the property you are investing in to make sure you buy in the right area that will attract a good tenant. I told you that I have 2 gifts for you. One is the free sneak peek of the property investment secrets, the platform and the course to safely invest in the UK from overseas. And second, I'm gonna offer you a 15 minutes free strategy call with me. We can have a chat, you can ask me any question you like, just type in the comment below strategy call and my staff will get back to you. So get your free gift and ask me any question in the comment below. Subscribe to the channel and keep on learning, and let's create a community of investors that grows together. Invest with knowledge, create financial freedom, and I'll see you in the next video.